in the 8th grade. You met a gentleman well known to our audience and those beyond who had a great effect on you going forward, and that was Mr. Wynton Marsalis. Can you
Yeah,
tell us a
that's
little bit
true.
about how that meeting came about? Fill us in. Let us know, man.
Oh man, he actually was just doing a workshop in Chicago, and me and my friend Corey Wilkes, we went to go see him
Yeah.
play. So we went and we said, "Let's go see Win." And I said, "Okay, let's do it." So we pull up to the workshop, and there's like it's packed, this auditorium, and I had my horn on my knee, just kind of bouncing to my case. And he saw that. And I think he was like, he got excited. He said, "Wait a second, you got his horn. Anybody else got their horn?" And the whole crowd had their horn. And he was like, "You know what that means? We got to have a jam session." So then I was like, "Oh, cool." So then he started playing the blues. But then, I was really young at the time, but it was so many like college kids there and high school kids that were just way more advanced. I remember that everyone played one chorus of blues and then move out the way, to get through it. So that's what we were doing. And I went up and I just blew my heart out in that one chorus and I moved out the way. And then he said, "No, stay here, play
All
another
right.
chorus." And then I played again. He said, "Play another one." And I played like 3 courses. And he told me to come stand by him. And then we were listening to the rest of the show, everyone. And he told me, "You have a very beautiful sound, brother. Um, Never stop practicing. One day you could be great, one of the greats, even greater than me."
Wow.
And that's all I need to hear from that moment.
Wow.
I didn't even practice before then. Like, I would just pick up my horn before a gig or before like, something in school, before a performance. I wasn't even gigging. So before like a performance, that made me
Wow.
get serious.
Oh yeah. I mean, man. So did beyond that, did he give you any other advice other than to practice, continue to play? Any other thing that he may have shared with you?
Yeah, he always told me to put the music first, and take care of the music, and the music will take care of you. And I'm a living testament of that's a true statement. And he always told me to always push and be better than everyone else around me if I want a greater response from my whatever I'm doing. And I think he
Hmm.
learned that a lot from his father. He told me that was how his father taught him. So he was definitely telling me that. Like, so that inspired me to go from not practicing to practicing 5-6 hours a day to 10, 12 hours a day and
Yeah.
getting this thing. So not going out to play with my friends and play video games and practicing, listen to records instead, because I started everything started to click to me. I knew I had to put the work in to really understand, the language, because it felt like it. When I heard music, and especially jazz music at that moment, it was like another language to me that I understood, but I didn't understand it all the way. But it was like a part of me was like, man, it all makes sense to me. All the good jazz that I love makes sense. And I just couldn't understand it. That was what made me want to develop more of my ear and my theory and everything, just the understanding of this music and appreciation for it.
You migrate down to the Crescent City.
Well, right out of high school, I got a scholarship to Northern Illinois University with Ron Carter. So that was
Nice.
amazing. I went there. But the only thing was I was just busting on the jazz scene. So I was leaving school a lot to go on tour. So I
Mm.
had to go out, whether it be to go out with Oscar Peterson, Clark Terry, or like Johnny Griffin or Benny Golson or something, Curtis Fuller. It would be these jazz legends that I would go out and play with, and I would just have to leave. I'm like, "I'm sorry, I gotta go." Dr. Nathan Davis, in the Paris Union Band, I replaced Benny Bailey in that band. So it was
Mm.
like it was just a whole thing where I was just like grateful to be learning, and I met most of these guys through like workshops and stuff. Like I would go to a workshop or be invited to a private workshop or something, and they were the mentors, they're the teachers. And after the workshop, I started working with them. They would give me gigs. So that's how I started doing that. And also meeting them in Chicago at the Jazz Showcase with
Yeah.
Joe Siegel, rest
Joe
in peace,
Siegel's
man.
Jazz
Yeah.
Showcase. God rest him, man.
Yeah. I remember, connecting with all the musicians that came to the Jazz Showcase, and they would put me on the list to come see him.
Hmm.
You know. And then Joe hassling me at the door. He's like, "Yo, your name in the list?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's right there." He's like, "Oh, I guess so. Come on in." Yeah. And then I always wind up sitting there so high because when I talk to the cast, they be like, "Man, bring your axe. I want you to play tonight." I'm like, "All right, cool. What's up?" So I had many lessons on that stage.
Yeah, well, I mean, so I mean, how? I mean, you're up here. You're up here with cats like Johnny Griffin. You up here with with Clark Terry and Oscar Peterson and everything. How young were you playing with some of these legends, man, at this time?
16, 17.
Talk a little bit more about that, but I want to get another clip on Lonnie. Do you have that Madison Square Garden clip that we might be able to look at? Let's see it, and then I want to hear a little bit about what was behind that. So, Lonnie, if you have that ready, we'd love to hear it. And that's another clip. It's just cool the way it starts off. So let's see it, and then let's talk about it if we can.
Like, man, that's a big step for us as a group,
Yeah,
and
man.
him as an artist and everything. And I wasn't thinking that I was gonna start to show off or anything like that. I've done it before because the first time I did that was at Coachella, and it
Oh,
was
okay.
like so many people there. It was a last minute decision for him. He says, we're backstage. He's like, he hinted at it before. He's like, I should have you go out, just play a little bit before we start the show. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I'm like, that's a cool idea, whatever. And then, a week went by and we did some more shows, and then Coachella was here. He was like, go out and play. So when he said that, he already had planted the seed. So I ain't hesitate. I was like, oh, you want me to play? Cool. So I ran out and he was like, wait, grab your mute. I'm like, my mute? My Harmon mute? He's like, yeah. I'm like, it's like 100,000 people out here. I'm like, why I gotta put the mute in? I'm thinking like they're not gonna hear me right, but it made them pay attention. You see what I'm saying? So like he always has the vision. So he said he was like, put the mute in. Just go out there. And I didn't, I'm not like hesitating. He said mute. I'm like, cool. I just thought to myself, mute? Why the mute? I just want to blast these ones. It's 100,000 people. I just want to go crazy. I was see how far my sound could go or this crowd far as I can see. But when I put that mute in, you could hear the whole crowd go, shh, shh, shh. They were pitching everybody. And it was supposed to just be for like whatever, 45 seconds, 60 seconds, a minute. But I think there was some technical difficulties or something. And I had in-ears in, so I'm getting ready to end it. And they're like, hey, Mo, can you keep playing? Or having some technical difficulties, just keep playing. So when it turned to like 2 minutes or something, it was a long time to be playing by yourself out there. So that was the first time that happened at Coachella. But that one was longer because it's Madison Square Garden. I'm coming from the second balcony from the back. And I went through rehearsal, sound check, and did it. And it didn't take that long, but it wasn't pitch black. So that's one thing I forgot about was being pitch black. So I'm like, okay, well, the pitch black was an issue.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I started walking and I was like, oh my God, I can't see the next step in front of me.
Oh man.
So I was like, the whole purpose of this is to set the tone of the night. I'm like, if I fall down these stairs, that gets a different tone. So I'm trying to take my time, and then it's hard to walk downstairs and play as is, but in the dark, and all you have is a spotlight. So like everything else is dark around you. So I'm being very careful each step. I don't know how many steps. I didn't count the steps or anything like that. Maybe I should have. But anyway, I got to the stage, and then it's 3 minutes and 3.5 minutes later, like just solo trumpet. The whole time it was screaming, just building up anticipation for the show, and then boom, we dropped the bomb, and then the rest was history. It was like
Easily, you seem to be able to move between the jazz and hip hop world, and it's been successful for you. But I know there have been cats I've talked to who said they get a lot of pressure to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? Have you come against any of those pressures during your career?
no.
Well, hey,
It's
that's
invisible to me because this is the thing. Like, I know we have the jazz police out here, but I don't pay attention to them, and I don't label myself as a jazz artist or any kind of artist. I'm just a musician. I'm gonna make whatever music I feel like. It might be a slow ballad with my flugelhorn, or it might be
Mhm.
something grooving, with whoever on drums. It could be Questlove, Anderson .Paak, Joe Blacks, Marcus Gilmore. Mike Mitchell, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
whatever I'm feeling is what I'm gonna do in the moment, and that's I think the beauty of being an artist is not having to
Yeah.
be pigeonholed in a box. Like if you feel it, express yourself, and someone else is gonna relate to that. So especially with the pandemic, is giving me even more courage than ever to do this. To
Mm.
be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't care what the program's supposed to be. This one feeling at the moment, let me record it because it's something, and
Yeah.
someone's gonna be like, dang, I feel like that too. I'm glad there's a song I could put on when I feel like that. I can relate to that. It
Mhm.
makes you not feel alone because when feeling alone is the worst thing that you could.
Listen with us. What are the ways that we can expose and encourage youth to listen and possibly play jazz music? And how and when were you inspired? Spend your
Wow.
time.
Great question. One thing I think is just finding the right music for them to check out. You know, there's a lot of good music and there's a lot of bad music and a lot of okay
So true.
music. So if you do your homework and you find, the greats and you expose them to that, it's pretty
Mhm.
undeniable. You don't have to force it down their throat, just expose it to them. They're gonna probably be gravitated to it. And if
Yeah.
that's the case, then you do everything in your resources to accommodate that. That's what my parents did for me. They saw I like jazz, they saw I like music, so they was like, "Oh, let's get them an instrument." I went to school and went to go get an instrument. They helped pay for it. It's
Yeah.
always been like that. And then once I got good on that student model, they got me a professional model when I was still in high school. So it's like they invested in me. They saw something in myself. So that was one thing I can never, forget about that. Another thing I think that the students can do is just kind of just or not just students, anybody, anyone who's inspired to like want to play music, is like I say, seek out the music you want to play, but don't be so stuck in the thinking that it's only one way to get to your final destination, because you might be that one person to make a whole new style, a whole new thing.
Mm.
And you can't do that if you're stuck in the box. You got to be able to just grab what inspires you and put it together and make some magic. And that's how it's done. You're taking a piece of this, piece of that, and then next thing you know, it's you. This piece personal
Yeah.
thing. I can tell you what inspired me, which was also
Okay.
part of the question. I really love Clifford Brown and Louis
Yeah.
Armstrong, Freddie Hubbard. But one thing that was really cool about my approach to like developing my ears and my playing was that I wasn't stuck on just trumpet. I was
Mm.
really, I really love saxophone and I love piano. So I would check out lots of like saxophonists and try to get my dexterity to match them on the saxophone and trumpet, which is a hard thing, would push me though. So to open up me to other possibilities that I didn't even know that possible on my horn,
Yeah.
because I removed myself the boundaries. I removed the boundaries around me and I just went for it. So that's what I'm saying. Like just be open minded and take everything that people are telling you, like listen to it, but you got to do at the end of the day, you got to make your own decision. You know what resonates with you, that inspires you, that makes you move and feel alive. That's what you're gonna go after. Develop that. Go to that sound. Don't spend all your time playing, classical music if you don't want to be a classical musician,
Mm.
or vice versa. With jazz or any kind of genre. Like
Yeah.
whatever you want, it starts here before it comes out. You got to visualize it. And that's one thing I would say, to really visualize how you want to sound. But when I grab a horn, I I'm not, it's hard to play trumpet. It's metal, you know, metal
Mm.
on metal. Well, in this case, 24 karat on 24 karat. But still, it's not the case. It's not what we're talking about
Hmm.
here. We're talking about how hard it is to make metal on metal make a sound that's beautiful. So the first thing I gotta do before I do anything, you gotta visualize how you want to sound
Mm.
before even a note comes out of your horn or whatever you do. I have to be like, oh, I'm in this mood. I gotta tap into that part. It's like acting, you
Yeah.
gotta tap into that part of your soul that's gonna embody your statement that you want to present to the world. And that's not an easy thing to do. You gotta be
No.
open, you gotta be open. And to be open is a whole process that take time to do, So definitely, meditating helps. I'm a black belt in taekwondo, so that helps me. I meditate a lot, and trying to exercise and stay as healthy as possible. All these things help you get that final result you're looking for. Because if you're off, something's off. Everything's gonna be off.
Okay. Bill says, I've never asked a trombone, trumpet, or flutist, where do you get the wind and lung capacity?
Well, I think it's a muscle still, so you have to build it up just like any muscle. It's like if you see somebody lift something heavy, you're gonna be like, wow, how'd you do that? And they be like, well,
Mm.
they didn't just pick it up. They started small and you build it up. So it's the same thing with your lung capacity and actually learning how to breathe the most efficient way. Your lungs are like a tank. So
Mm.
when you're in imagine you're underwater, you take a breath. And you gotta get
Mm.
back to the top. You're going down, but you gotta get back up. You don't know how far down you can go without keeping your reserve to get back up, right? So you gotta
Yeah.
keep enough to get back up. It's the same with playing on trumpet,
Mm.
playing our trombone, any brass instrument. Don't play yourself, cause you go drown.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So you
Yeah.
gotta be like, okay, let me take in full air, and I want to get to this note. So, oh, I'm running out of air. Let me take a breath. And I need more to get to this note because you want everything to be full and with body
Yeah.
and presence and with love and just fill the room with your energy. You don't want it to be like, oh yeah, you barely got that note out. That's awesome. Like, you want to caress it and put your personality in everything you do. So only way to do that is be in control of your air capacity and lung. So you just gotta build it up. You can start going like a short breaths. One trick I do. It's
Mm.
funny, I haven't told anyone this, so y'all lucky I'm gonna tell you this.
Okay. There you go.
It's called Breath of Fire. And I go,
Mm.
open it all the way up. So now it's like, hey, what's up? Like I feel open. Even like I want to sit more straight just by doing.
All right. All right. Yes, sir. Maurice Mobetta Brown, live in the studio there for a minute. So, man. Yeah, man. So what? Let's talk a little bit quickly about the inspiration for that. I know when we talked about it, we saw you, going to that place, and then, we heard what we heard. Anything particular about tonight, or what we've talked about that maybe inspired that?
Well, that particular tune was something that we cut in the studio. That's Mike Mitchell on drums, Isaiah Sharkey on guitar, and Kamano Neon on bass. My bros, we just like vibing out, coming up with concepts, and I've got so many melodies that I have over it, but I haven't settled on one particular for the album yet. So that's why it's not done yet. But I'm just getting the atmosphere perfect for like some greatness. So that's what I'm zoning in. I really want to express myself over it. Every time I play it's something different. So I actually recorded that just right now, what I just did in the studio. So I got that as a reference. That might be the actual song. Like, you never know.
Hey, there you go. Those of y'all who tuned in tonight, y'all got to be a part of that total creative process, man. So we thank you. At this point, though, we're past. We are past our time, unfortunately. So, man, we're gonna have you back.
Definitely. I would love to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we're gonna have